for months, leading up to October of 2020. Houston teenager Maria Pratt had been dealing with a female relative harassing her online. The bully would reportedly make up rumors about the Elsick High School sophomore and send people photos of her claiming she was an escort. The social media feud came to a head on October the 26th when the unnamed relative proposed they meet to settle the matter. Pratt, along with her 20-year-old sister, DeCambry, and Anthony Thornabar, aged 22, went to the meetup spot in the 10800 block of Sharpview Drive. They reportedly expected a fight but hadn't brought firearms. A man later identified as Kenny Charles Garrett was seen on CCTV exiting a red Chrysler 200 and discharging a weapon in the trio's direction. He was reported to have fired over 15 shots. Pratt was struck by gunfire and died at the scene. Her sister and Thornabar suffered gunshot wounds that weren't deemed life-threatening and recovered after they were hospitalized. Garrett fled the scene in the shooting's immediate aftermath. 3 girls, one of whom was believed to have been Pratt's social media bully, were in the car with him at the time. Garrett was arrested on November the 9th of 2020. He was charged with murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and deadly conduct. Number 8. Mules in the UK. In 2019, the Daily Mail reported on a growing trend among criminals in the UK of recruiting youths and funneling dirty money through their bank accounts. In some cases, the youths were threatened into handing out their banking details, but most were enticed on social media and became willing mules. Money launderers would post recruitment ads for quick money-making opportunities, often featuring luxury items or stacks of cash. Criminals were even known to board school buses and send the ads directly into the phones of their targets via Bluetooth. They preferred youths of a wealthier status and who didn't have a criminal record in order to make their funds harder to trace. An undercover Daily Mail reporter posing as a teen was promised £15,000 by one contact who told him to drop off his bank card at an address in Southeast London. Another money launderer asked him to send clear photos of both sides of his card, offering $3,000 within 24 hours. Mules typically received much less than initially promised. Most were oblivious to the fact that they were facilitating money laundering from crimes that range from drug trafficking to terrorism. Fraud Prevention Service, CFAS, reported that in 2018 nearly 11,000 youths under the age of 21 were caught acting as mules, which was a 26% increase from the previous year. Santander and Lloyd Banks closed thousands of accounts that were found to be operated by fraudsters. Detective Constable Dawn Wood, who led Scotland Yard's mule hunting unit, reported that social media sites such as Facebook or Instagram made rich pickings for criminals. The police led a campaign of informing potential victims, warning them that a person caught acting as a mule faced up to 14 years in prison, in addition to a ruined credit score. Number 7. Ari Williams. 27-year-old Florida rapper Ari Jawan Williams, who performed as Rolly Bands, was gunned down outside his home near the IQ Apartments in Tampa on July the 22nd of 2022. Law enforcement found that he'd been involved in a dispute with Darren Day and Demon Speed, aged 25 and 29 respectively. The 3 men were reportedly involved in tax fraud together. Williams was in the process of filing his sister's tax returns and reportedly promised those who helped him that they would be heavily compensated. Speed didn't like the deal's outcome and started arguing with Williams. The latter's girlfriend, Stephanie Agosto, told 10 Tampa Bay that the fighting moved to social media and that a particular message triggered the shooting. On July the 22nd, Williams wrote a provocative post alluding to his enemies knowing where he lived. He then claimed that he would be home in 5 minutes, daring anyone who wanted smoke to come find him. Roughly 5 minutes later, he was shot dead. Day pulled up to his home on Bruce B. Downs Boulevard in a BMW, and Speed started shooting from the passenger seat. The incident was captured on video. Speed chased Williams down and continued firing, fatally striking him through the body and in the back of the head. Speed and Dave fled after the shooting but were eventually arrested in August of 2022 on charges of first-degree premeditated murder. Number 6. Nurman Sultanovic. Leading up to August of 2023, Bosnian bodybuilder Nurman Sultanovic was investigated numerous times for his connections to a drug cartel operating out of the northern canton of Tuzla. He'd been arrested repeatedly for violence and drug trafficking, spending at least 2 years behind bars. On August the 11th, he went live on Instagram telling viewers, "Hey guys, you're going to see something you've never seen before. A live murder." The camera panned to a badly beaten woman sitting on a blood-soaked patio as a child was heard crying in the background. The woman was Sultanovich's wife, Nevzita Hechimovic, whom he accused of hiding his child from him. As he loaded a pistol, the 35-year-old bodybuilder demanded to know why she'd been talking to the police about him. Struggling to speak from the brutal pre-video beatdown, Hechimovic replied that she feared for her life and the life of her child. Sultanovic then shot her a single time in the head, killing her. He left the home, and the child seen in the live stream was found unharmed in the incident's wake. After executing his wife, Sultanovic shot and killed 2 more people, identified as father and son Cengiz Onda and Cengiz Deniz. He wounded 3 others, including a police officer, before local law enforcement and Bosnian special forces cornered him. In another short video taken while he was trapped, the bodybuilder said, "These are not my first murders. I don't talk much." After a brief standoff, Sultanovic was found dead from a gunshot wound. Number 5. Malik Jeremiah Mason. Georgia men Malik Jeremiah Mason and Shaleb Christopher Brown, who'd previously been best friends, were arguing on social media in November of 2020. Brown, who was at the time in his mid-20s, had made a post claiming Mason was a rat, accusing him of being an informant for law enforcement, accompanied by his then-girlfriend, Destiny Biana Henry. Mason went to an apartment complex in the 100 block of Ravenwood Court in Douglasville to confront Brown. An argument erupted, and as tensions escalated, Mason pulled out a handgun and shot Brown, who was unarmed. The latter sustained a critical wound to his neck, and first responders pronounced him dead at the scene. Mason was arrested a few days later in Alabama. During the trial that followed, several witnesses testified that they'd seen Mason shoot Brown. He was convicted of multiple charges that included aggravated assault and 2 counts of felony murder. In January of 2024, he was jailed for life plus an additional 16 years. Number 4. Christin Holmes. After she was mistaken for another woman during a heated Facebook feud, Virginia woman Christin Holmes uploaded a threatening selfie to the social media platform in the spring of 2015. 26-year-old Holmes addressed others involved in the conflict, writing, "I'll post a few actual pics of me so you know the difference when you come find me." To punctuate that statement, she uploaded a photo of herself pointing a handgun at the camera while smiling and holding a toothbrush in her mouth. The Chesterfield resident was subsequently reported to Henrico County law enforcement, and she was taken into custody on the charge of harassment by computer. The woman faced up to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine. Speaking to WWBT, Holmes described her legal predicament as ridiculous, claiming that she just thought it was a funny picture. It hadn't meant the post to be a threat. She noted that she took down the selfie after realizing that it was a little bit intimidating. During her interview with the media outlet, Holmes said that her freedom of speech rights were being violated, adding, "Be careful what you put on the internet because you can go to jail for it. Facebook thugging is a crime." The outcome of her case remained unclear. Number 3. Samaya and Sanaya, Spain. Following a family game night on March the 17th of 2024, twin sisters Samaya and Sanaya, Spain, went to a Park Slope deli in Brooklyn, New York City, accompanied by their brother. While at the Slope Natural Plus store, Samaya was approached by 20-year-old V.O. Kelly, who appeared to be drunk. He asked Samaya for her Instagram, but she declined his advances. In the moments that followed, Sanaya grabbed her sister's phone and pulled her away, asking, "Why are you talking to that boy?" To which Samaya reportedly replied, "I don't want to talk to that boy." In the moments that followed, Kelly became aggressive. The 19-year-old twins, their brother and a deli worker, were able to kick him and his companion out of the store. The worker locked the door, allowing the Spain trio to remain inside. Kelly and his companion waited for them to leave and ambushed them outside. According to Sanaya, the man had a knife in his hand and threatened, "I'm gonna stab you all in the face." Kelly then pushed Samaya to the ground and her brother retaliated by punching him in the face, knocking him down as well. Fighting broke out between the two groups, and during the skirmish, Kelly knifed the twins. Sanaya suffered a wound to her arm while Samaya was stabbed in the neck and chest. The sisters were taken to a local hospital where Samaya was pronounced dead. Kelly subsequently surrendered to law enforcement and was charged with second-degree murder. After Samaya's death, a group of over 100 people held a vigil at the deli. Some marched through the streets and chanted into a megaphone, "Say her name, Samaya, Spain." In April, Kelly pleaded not guilty to the murder, and his lawyer, Javier Solano, claimed that his client had acted in self-defense. Solano told CBS New York, "The video surveillance that I've been shown shows at least 5 young females beating him." The case was ongoing as of the latest updates on the matter. Today's topic was requested by Azula Kays and Jordan Harris 6801. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Caitlyn Lee. In August of 2024, Indiana mother of 3, Caitlyn Lee, was at her home in New Albany, Indiana, making TikTok videos with her best friend. A video showed the women laughing, dancing and lip-syncing before they stopped and turned towards the back kitchen window. Someone had been knocking on the glass and Lee asked, "What are you doing here?" Before the video cut off, a blast was seen and Lee's body fell out of view. The 25-year-old had just been shot through the window by her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Thompson. The best friend, who was unharmed, witnessed him pulling the trigger. Thompson fled the scene, leaving behind his handgun, and went to his brother's home. While crying and distraught, he confessed that he shot the mother of his child in the head and killed her. He and Lee had been involved in a turbulent relationship. The woman was terrified of Thompson, who'd continued to stalk and harass her following their breakup. Lee had once told her best friend that if she was ever found dead, it would be because her ex had killed her. At the time of the shooting, she had a restraining order against Thompson. Following his arrest, the latter admitted to violating the order by going to Lee's home and claimed he'd done so in order to see if she was with other men. He also admitted to pulling the trigger. Thompson was charged with murder, criminal recklessness, invasion of privacy, and unlawful carrying of a handgun. If these social media cases ruining people's lives weren't enough for you, stick around until after number 1 for our previous release of When Taking It Too Far Goes Wrong, in case you haven't seen it yet. Number 1. Winter Swan Miller. On June the 28th of 2023, the brutalized body of Army veteran Stuart Maxwell Crocker was found at his home in Andover, England, after a neighbor had called the authorities and asked for a welfare check. 62-year-old Crocker had been viciously murdered 5 days prior by Winter Swan Miller, a habitual drug user who would sometimes stay at his home. Crocker was separated from his wife and was reportedly attracted to Swan Miller. The nature of their relationship was unclear, but there were reports that the woman was manipulating the veteran, who was afflicted by PTSD from his time in the army. Swan Miller at some point became convinced that Crocker had been complicit in the previous theft of Oblivion, her therapy dog. On June the 23rd, she attacked the man with a knife. Swan Miller stabbed Crocker 27 times, inflicting injuries to his neck, chest, and upper abdomen, before strangling him with the strap of her handbag. Minutes later, she made a TikTok video. She told her followers, "I'm going to be taking a break from TikTok for a bit, I think because I've been a bad girl," before asking them to write to her in prison. She added, "You probably won't want to speak to me when you find out anyway, but there is more to the story than just one side." The 36-year-old then ranted about her plans for the day, which included getting breakfast at McDonald's and buying Oblivion a new lead. The authorities tracked her down about a week later after she'd used Crocker's card to withdraw cash in the Aldridge area of the West Midlands. Swan Miller had fled to Walsall, where she made no efforts to hide from the authorities as she continued to party and take drugs. After her arrest, the police searched an apartment where she was staying with another man. Officers found a notebook, diary, and sealed envelopes belonging to her. In some of the writings, Swan Miller confessed to killing Crocker. After a trial lasting 3 months, she was found guilty of murder at Winchester Crown Court. Prosecutors had argued during the proceedings that Swan Miller had made the post-murder TikTok post in an attempt to gain fame and notoriety. On August the 6th of 2024, the woman was jailed for life with a minimum of 23 years behind bars. She at no point showed any remorse for her crimes, and during the sentencing hearing, Judge Angela Morris described her as a highly manipulative person who was prepared to do or say anything to get what she wanted.
Bulgarian influencer Andrea Ivanova, who underwent 32 aesthetic procedures between 2018 and 2022, made the decision to continue modifying her body despite being warned of the potentially fatal consequences of doing so. 25-year-old Ivanova claimed to have the world's biggest lips and hoped to boast the most prolonged and pointed chin as well. Up until 2022, she spent over $9,000 on procedures that included getting hyaluronic acid injections in her lips and augmenting her bra size from 75C to 75E. Ivanova acknowledged that her doctor had warned her against getting any more plastic surgery. She chose to disregard his advice, however, explaining that he'd expressed similar concerns in the past, but that she's been happy with the results. Ivanova said she would be celebrating her birthday in 2022 by applying fillers to her chin. The woman's highly modified appearance has gained her a loyal following on social media. Number 10. Matthew Kavinda. Florida officer Matthew Kavinda was fired from the St. Petersburg police force after using a stun gun on 64-year-old Timothy Grant unnecessarily. On June the 20th of 2021, Kavinda had been called to a gas station to deal with reports of a panhandler roaming the store. After arriving at the scene and speaking to Grant, he discovered that there were 5 active warrants under the man's name. Rather than following the department's de-escalation protocol, Kavinda immediately became hostile towards the suspects when he reportedly sat down in a wheelchair. Kavinda and his partner attempted to lift the man out of the wheelchair, eventually using unnecessary force by dry stunning Grant. Instead of activating the device's prongs, the officer pressed the taser against the victim's body directly and stunned him 4 times. In his report, Kavinda claimed that Grant had been violently resisting arrest in an attempt to justify his actions. Although he was ultimately terminated, Kavinda wasn't criminally charged in connection to the assault. Number 9. Lisa Hind. Lisa Hind, a resident of Cheshire, England, experienced regrets after convincing her husband, Steve, to sign a prenup in which he promised to pay $450 a month for her cosmetic surgeries. The 30-year-old woman, who reportedly wanted to look like celebrity Katie Price, realized the dangerous consequences of the extensive procedures she'd subjected herself to after falling during a trip to Benidorm in Spain, which left her with a split lip. Due to the fillers she'd been applying to her lips over the course of 8 years, doctors were unable to stitch her wound, leaving her with an unsightly scar for several weeks. It wasn't until she underwent surgery to drain the fillers that she could be properly treated. Hind, who worked as a personal trainer, indicated that her obsession with her physical appearance has also affected her marriage. Her husband, a bus driver, worked overtime and took out loans amounting to over $20,000 to fulfill the prenup's cosmetic surgery clause. During the first 8 years of their marriage, the couple spent $43,000 on procedures that included hair extensions, semi-permanent makeup, Botox, and lip fillers, as well as Hind's 5 times a week tanning bed routine. She swore off plastic surgery after the accident in Spain and decided to focus on mending her relationship with her husband. Number 8. Natasha Crown. Swedish model Natasha Crown, who spent $150,000 to enhance her backside, subsequently feared that her new physical attributes would prevent her from finding love. 27-year-old Crown, who underwent 6 procedures in total, reportedly sought to have the world's biggest bum. She had her first plastic surgery at the age of 20 when she underwent a Brazilian butt lift. Crown later expressed concerns that men would be too scared of her curves to date her, claiming that she hadn't been in a serious relationship since undergoing the initial procedure. Nevertheless, Crown reportedly planned on undergoing her 6th surgery in January of 2022. Number 7. Yulia Tarasevich. 43-year-old Russian beauty queen Yulia Tarasevich filed a criminal complaint against doctors Andrei Komarov and Omar Khalid, alleging that the procedures they'd performed on her body had caused her to experience severe side effects. Tarasevich, who was the runner-up in the Mrs. Russia International Beauty Contest in 2000, reportedly paid over $3,000 for a facelift and a mini liposuction, as well as surgery meant to correct her eyelids. In her complaint, the woman revealed that she was unable to close her eyes or smile after the procedures and was also left with scars all over her cheeks. Doctors Khalid and Komarov denied the accusations, blaming the alleged injuries on a previously undetected genetic condition, scleroderma. Tarasevich was forced to spend over $20,000 to fix the issues, but as of December of 2022, hadn't reversed the negative effects to her liking. She told authorities that the consequences of the initial surgery weren't merely aesthetic, as she'd reportedly needed to seek emergency treatment to save her eyes from necrosis. Number 6. Sarah Sabbath. Sarah Sabbath, a 26-year-old model and tattoo artist from Texas, went blind after attempting to inject color into her eyeballs. Despite the consequences of the procedure, she reportedly had no plans of ceasing the modifications to her body, indicating they make her feel more like herself. Sabbath had already tattooed the majority of her body, underwent a nose job, and pierced her lips, neck, and nose before the ill-fated eyeball job, spending between $3,000 and $4,000 on her appearance in total. She claimed that the tattoo artist that applied the ink to her eyes didn't add enough saline solution, which resulted in temporary blindness. Fortunately, Sabbath was able to find a specialist that helped her recover most of her vision. Number 5. Annah Peterson. Irish woman Annah Peterson of Belfast tattooed her eyeballs blue and purple in 2020 despite the serious risk the procedure posed to her eyesight. 37-year-old Peterson, a mother of 5, consented to the risky modification after Australian model Amber Luke, known also as the Blue-Eyed Dragon, underwent the procedure and posted the results to social media. Peterson mentioned how one of her daughters warned her against the tattoos, but she chose to go forward with it anyway, having undergone multiple other drastic procedures, including face tattoos and a split tongue. The woman tattooed her right eye in July of 2020 and, despite experiencing severe headaches, decided to repeat the procedure on her left eye. It took months for the more serious consequences to appear. Her eyelids swelled and she reportedly felt as though she'd been repeatedly punched in the face. Peterson was prescribed antibiotics, and when her health continued to deteriorate, she was hospitalized. She even had to be put under general anesthesia in order for doctors to perform a biopsy. Although her condition gradually improved over time, she hadn't fully recovered her vision as of the latest updates on the matter. Peterson has been warned by doctors that she may face glaucoma and permanent blindness as a result of the ink applied to her eyeballs. Number 4. Natasha West. On November the 13th of 2015, Chicago woman Natasha West was arrested for threatening a waitress during a dispute over pancakes. The 27-year-old had gone out to dinner with a few friends at a local Denny's, where she ordered the $4 all-you-can-eat pancake special. West decided to share the meal with her friends, but was told that the deal only allowed for a single diner to eat the pancakes. Enraged, the woman began swearing and threatening the waitress, while her friends left the establishment without paying. West eventually threw punches at the server, although she didn't actually make contact, before kicking the door open as she left the scene. The restaurant's manager called 911, giving police a description of the car in which the group had driven away. Shortly thereafter, West and her friends were pulled over and brought back to the restaurant where they were positively identified by the Denny's employees. West was consequently arrested and charged with assault as well as damage to property. Number 3. Alvis Parish. 54-year-old Alvis Parish was arrested on December the 7th of 2021 after spiking her boyfriend's drink in order to get him to stop talking. Parish of Jacksonville, Florida, was charged with poisoning with the intent to kill or injure after admitting to adding an antipsychotic medication used to treat schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression to her boyfriend's lemonade. She decided to call 911 after growing concerned about the victim's condition. Responding officers reported that the man was extremely lethargic but wasn't aware that Parish had added the medication to his drink. As Parish was being arrested, she told officers that she hadn't planned on killing her boyfriend, but that she simply wanted him to shut up. She also indicated that if she hadn't been removed from the premises, she might have ended up harming the man. Her bond was set at $5,000. As of the latest developments, the legal proceedings were still ongoing. Number 2. Shantova Kirkland. Shantova Kirkland, aged 32, accidentally killed friends Ayn Wilson and Edward Lee on April the 25th of 2021 during a prank that went awry in Augusta, Georgia. The victims, who were 37 and 34 respectively, had joined Kirkland and a group of friends at a birthday party being held near a local lake. Kirkland, who'd rented 2 pontoon boats, threw Lee into the water along with another woman who was wearing a life vest. Wilson followed closely behind as his friend reportedly didn't know how to swim. Neither man resurfaced, prompting several partygoers to jump into the water in an attempt to rescue them, but their well-intentioned efforts ultimately proved unsuccessful. Their bodies wouldn't be recovered until the following week. On June the 21st of 2022, Kirkland pleaded guilty to 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 1 year in prison plus 9 years probation. Number 1. Mary Magdalene. American TikTok influencer Mary Magdalene nearly died after undergoing a risky surgery to inflate her genitals. In 2018, the 25-year-old internet celebrity, who developed a reported addiction to cosmetic procedures, spent over $100,000 in total to modify her body. She'd worked as an exotic dancer to pay for the surgeries but was able to quit after her OnlyFans page became a steady source of income. Magdalene uploaded before and after pictures which illustrated the radical change in her physical appearance since she turned 21, including multiple tattoos, brow lifts, fat transfers, nose and breast jobs, as well as lip fillers. The model claimed that she wanted her privates to be the world's fattest and was undeterred by the fact that the surgery almost killed her, although she'd already increased her bra size to 38J. Magdalene expressed her desire to continue enhancing that area of her body with the use of expanders, as well as continuing with various alterations to her body despite the serious risks to her health. Thanks for watching. Would you rather live stream continuously for a month or only eat potatoes for a year? Let us know in the comments section below.